And this one has a Santa hat. And this one's got a party hat. And this one's got your hat. So what's so special about yours again? When Bandai started releasing what they then called D-Arts for a Pokemon series, everyone wondered the same thing. Yeah, the big Pokemon are cool. When do we get the characters from the anime? Well, it took them a few years, but Figuarts finally figured it out. We kind of want articulated versions of the classic characters because, hey, they really don't get them very often, and when they do, they're kind of junky. So here we have SH Figuarts Ash Ketchum from the original Pokemon series. This going all the way back to his G1 look, as it were, in his classic outfit. That does not look coordinated in any way, shape, or form. Fashion, not always Ash's best companion during these trips. I mean, look, the kid's got 3 shades of green and 3 shades of blue going on here. A little bit of coordination, my friend. So, yeah, what we have here is a full SH Figuart of Ash in his original design, fully detailed and rendered all the way around, looking quite nice. Now, this is SH Figuarts, so of course the main draw is going to be the articulation and the accessories, of which, it did okay. I'll go ahead and go through the articulation because, hey, there's not a whole lot to go through on a Figuart. It's just a really good action figure. So we'll first start off with a nice little hinge in the neck that allows him to go in all directions, and it's a Figuart, so he has this universal joint in the top and then a ball joint here at the bottom. The ball joint on mine is one of those really tight and kind of squeaky ones, so I need to shock oil this thing, or I need to wear down that joint a little bit so it doesn't snap on me someday. So buyer beware, that joint gets a little bit tight. If you have some way of loosening it or lubricating it, I recommend doing so. Full universal joint in the shoulder and ball joint there in the torso gives you lots of range and motion in all that area. Now, he does leave a little bit of a gap, so you have to be a little bit careful in some poses not to expose it too much, or it's going to look a little bit ugly. He has a bicep swivel. He has a 90-degree elbow bend, which works really nicely. I kind of like it's kind of concaved a little bit, so it bends naturally and still has a look of like a natural elbow, even though there's a joint clearly sticking out of it. Sacrifices we make. Wrist rotation in the Figuart style, and that being there is also a tiny little hinge in there, so the wrist can also bend in different directions. And if you can finagle the joint a little bit, you can make that bend go in any direction you want, allowing you some more universal motion there. Torso joint and waist joint both accommodated for. Torso here, ball joint here. Full rotation if you need it. Well, I'm not getting actual full rotation out of this, but I'm getting all human rotation out of it. So that's all I really want out of him. See, full thighs. He's got that stem thing going that Figuarts likes to do in order to increase the range. And it's ball jointed and swiveled, so he has a bit of a twist as well. Lots of range of articulation there. He's not going to be doing any rider kicks, but then again, why would you want him to be? Toward the back, the knees are covered up in a nice little kind of flat joint, which keeps the look of the jeans going pretty nicely and allows a very good deep knee bend that goes beyond 90 degrees. And again, we have that joint showing out the front to look like an actual bent pant leg. Very nice. I like the sculpting on the pant leg too. It's a little bit creased, a little bit wrinkly, has a natural look to it. Toward the ankle, full rotation, full ankle tilting and all that. And he has that Figuart thing of a toe bend, which is neat. You also see the sculpt on the underside of his feet, which I'm not sure is a detail you actually see in the anime. That's attention to detail. Do you think they just made that up, or is there like an official like Nintendo Game Freak design models like this is exactly how Ash's underside of his shoe has to be designed? Do not go off model. We will sue. But yeah, he has great articulation all the way around, and by now you've probably guessed, really good sculpting as well. The face itself done pretty well. Figuarts used to be very bad at capturing anime figures' expressions and details. Go look at Domon Kashu, the G Gundam Figuart they did, which is the first non-Kamen Rider they made. And this looking quite a bit better. Ash looks pretty much like himself. Everything's sculpted in, right down to the tongue. The eyes are actually print on, but hey, we make small sacrifices sometimes. And yeah, all these are molded in, like the belt loops are molded in. The belt buckle itself is slightly molded in. Just enough to give it some texture, just enough to give it some three-dimensional detail. And yeah, like right down to like his shoelaces focus camera. You can see his shoelaces sculpted. Yeah, this is Figuarts, so of course, a masterful job there. So, good on ya. He looks exceptionally nice. But Figuarts is a toy line that kind of lives or dies by its accessory count, so we will go through the ones we have for Ash. For starters, alternate hands are a bit of a letdown. He has but two, and they are both for his right hand. For starters, you have, well, I'll go ahead and switch them out, just because we got time like that. Pop on, he has a pointing hand, so he can actually send commands or tell somebody where the nearest pizzeria is, whichever one comes first. Look, over there is where I screwed something else up this episode that we'll have to fix. Or you also have the Pokeball equipped hand. It's hard sculpted in, or at least hard glued in, so you can't really change the Pokeball's position or have a little tiny one dangling about. However, it is sculpted in such a way so that you have the I just captured something pose, but it also works if you have it bent up like this, like he's ready to actually throw the Pokeball. Though he is a little bit too happy here to be doing that. So it's Ash Ketchum, right? So this doesn't quite work expression-wise for this particular pose. So let's go ahead and fix that. And we can fix that by taking off his hat, which removes and reveals what I long suspected: Ash's head doesn't exist above his hairline. You know what? This is why he never takes the hat off in the show anymore. I'm telling you, they don't want you to know this. So let's see. He does have an alternate face that we can swap on, and it's going to give him a more serious look. So we'll go ahead and remove his face, because you do that for Japanese toys. Plug that in and realize, oh, he's got a big hole in his head. We actually have to take the hair lock out of the other piece of hair and then stick it on, and then we can put the hat back on. And there we go. Someone is about to go bust Team Rocket. This looks a little bit more appropriate for this pose. But hey, maybe this isn't Team Rocket. Maybe this is just like an actual Pokemon battle or something, and he has to get a little bit more serious. Even more serious than Team Rocket, because Pokemon catching comes first. Completely remove the lock, turn the hair around, or turn the hat around, and you'll notice the peg works both sides. And here, plugs all the way down, covering up the front hole in his head, and now ready for just about any battle. This is actually really cool. You have a bunch of different combinations between happy and serious expressions, the different directions of the hat, and yeah, if we want, we can also completely remove the hat, and we'll swap in a full head of hair. Yeah, they want you to believe he really does. It doesn't exist. The top of his head does not exist. But yeah, here we have in the full head of hair without the hat, in case you want the hat. Just, I don't know, off on its own adventure. I don't know, maybe it's a Mario 64 thing and got blown off in the wind. It's your toy, imagine what you want. But you do have plenty of combinations of expressions. I wish he had just like a default smiling face, just so I don't have to have him either overly happy with bugs flying into his mouth, or dead serious, I'm seriously going to consider murdering you with this plastic ball right now. You really don't have an in-between, and in-betweens are nice when they're just standing there in a neutral pose, but, you know, it's what it is. So that's really all the accessory count you get for Ash himself. If you want others, well, it does come with one other accessory, if you can actually consider it an accessory. Behold, SH Figuarts Pikachu. And not like the monstrous one they did that's gigantic, way out of proportion, and kind of freakishly articulated. This one actually does work and look a little bit closer to your standard Pikachu. If we put Ash down and put him next to him, the size actually works out much better. He looks like the little yellow electric rodent we all know and love and or tolerate. I don't know your opinion of Pikachu. This one, however, is far less articulated than that one. You have but two very deep set ball joints that allow the head to rotate and the upper torso to rotate, as well as have some up and down movement. So You can kind of have this like hula dancing Pikachu thing going on. Or you can just, try and come up with some kind of neutral pose where his arms are directly forward at all times, like he's sleepwalking or pretending he's Frankenstein. But the real reason for this sculpt is so that he can stand in a more neutral pose like this, or go down to all fours as if he's ready for a Pokemon battle, which that makes the expression on Ash here look a little bit more convincing. So I like that. I do wish he had, like, as long as he's just ball joints, I kind of wish the top and bottom could pop off and I could swap on some relaxed arms, just so when he's standing there he looks a little bit more normal. But this is not bad, and this would actually be like in a somewhat sensible scale along with all the SH Figuarts / D-Arts Pokemon they've released previously. So yeah, it's a nice little accessory, and he's got one more trick, because he also comes with this little plastic cradle for this peg in his back. We go ahead and peg that into place, and I'll go ahead and show you. He does have an extra hole there too, just in case you want to peg him into a display stand, just in case. You can actually set Pikachu in there. That'll cradle him right underneath his butt, and that allows you to have Pikachu riding on Ash's shoulder as you do. That's actually a neat little addition, and well, yeah, there's a little bit of spider Pikachu going on here in order to cling onto that shoulder. It's a little bit suspect as far as how gravity works here. It's definitely a cool option, and definitely makes this set a little bit more enjoyable. I'm going to go ahead and swap back to his happy face here just really quickly, because this is a little bit creepy. Ash is not so angry all the time. Alright, so what do we think here? The accessory count for an SH Figuart is quite low, but it has a bunch of the necessary stuff. I think pretty much all of Ash's default, all of his default states and default appearances are pretty well replicated here out of this set. I think the Pikachu makes a really cool accessory that works in with previous Pokemon Figuarts they've done, and I do think it is exceptionally well sculpted and painted. Mine missed a little bit of paint there on the edge of his coat. It's supposed to be a little bit more full like that, but beyond that, didn't really notice any paint blemishes on him the whole time. So that, my friends, is SH Figuarts Ash Ketchum. I do think if you've been after a articulated Ash Ketchum, the original design, for a while now, this is a very worthy pickup. The articulation is great, the sculpting is great. You're going to be at a little bit of a loss with the accessories, but for the most part, I don't think you're going to be displeased. Especially if you were like me, and when the toys first came out in America, all you had was that one-piece thing that didn't have a single piece of articulation to it. I mean, that's where I'm going from here. That was my previous Ash figure, and now I'm at this one. And, yeah, this one's a little better.